Bank reconciliation. Let's be honest, for most finance teams, those two words bring up feelings of dread. It's critical, for sure, but it can be a massive headache. Today, we're going to talk about how automation inside Microsoft Dynamics 365 is completely flipping the script on this task, moving teams from being buried in spreadsheets to actually driving strategy.
Okay, so let's start with a scene that's probably painfully familiar to a lot of you. It's the end of the month, the pressure's on, and out come the spreadsheets.
So I have to ask, are you still stuck in that loop? Still relying on those old manual processes and ridiculously complex spreadsheets for something as vital as bank reconciliation? If the answer is yes, you know the frustration, and I bet the real cost is way higher than you think.
Yeah, these are the real costs, the hidden drains on your business. You know how it goes. One tiny error, a misplaced decimal, and suddenly it snowballs into days of digging through records. If you're managing multiple companies, it's just pure chaos. And maybe the most dangerous part, you're making big decisions based on old data, leaving huge blind spots in your cash position, and just opening the door for audit risks. It's just a colossal waste of your team's time and talent.
So, before we get to the really exciting part, the solution, let's just do a super quick refresher on why this whole process is so fundamental in the first place.
So, in a nutshell, it's just making sure your books line up with what the bank says. You're basically asking, is the money I think I have the money I actually have? Simple, right? But its importance goes so much deeper than just matching a couple of numbers.
This is it. This is the absolute backbone of your financial control. It's your first defense against fraud, it's the single source of truth for your cash flow, and it's the key to a fast, accurate month-end close. Get this right, and your internal controls are solid, and your auditors are happy.
And here it is, the manual grind. Anyone who's been in the trenches with this knows the pain. You're staring at the screen, going line by line by line, ticking off transactions, hunting for that one tiny thing that doesn't match. It's this long, 5-step march that is just begging for human error. It is not a good use of a smart finance professional's brain power.
But the good news is there is a much better way. So let's look at how the tools inside Dynamics 365 have evolved, taking us from very basic functions to the seriously intelligent systems we have today.
This timeline really tells the whole story. We started back in Dynamics AX with a pretty manual check-the-box process. Then in 2018, things got really interesting with advanced reconciliation. That was a huge leap. And now in 2024, what they're calling modern bank rec is just on another level entirely.
That advanced module back in 2018 was a true game changer. For the first time, you could just import bank statements directly into the system. You could actually see your bank statement and your ledger right next to each other on the same screen. No more switching back and forth. And the best part? You could set up rules to automatically match most of your transactions. This was really the beginning of the end for that manual tick-and-tie nightmare.
But now, modern reconciliation just raises the bar completely. Just imagine this for a second. The system automatically goes into a folder every day and pulls in your bank statements for you. It's smart enough to clear complicated transactions without you having to do a thing. It can even create payment journals for you right from the worksheet. This isn't just a small update, it's a massive leap forward in making the whole process smarter and faster.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But what does it actually mean for a business? Let's dig into the real, tangible results that companies are seeing when they make this shift.
First off, let's talk about speed. On average, businesses are seeing a 40% reduction in the time it takes to just reconcile their transactions. 40%! Think about that. What could your team do with all that time back?
And that speed directly hits one of the biggest stress points in finance, the month-end close. Some companies have cut their closing time by as much as 60%. That's the difference between a frantic, chaotic scramble and a smooth, predictable, almost boring process. And in finance, boring is good.
Now for a number that's just staggering. Wilmette Dixon, a huge construction firm in the UK, reported an incredible 87% reduction in their reconciliation time for a key tax process. That just shows you the scale of what's possible when you really lean into these new tools.
And here's the guy behind that number. Jack Day, the group finance manager there, just lays it out perfectly. A process that used to take more than 2 full days of work now takes just 1 hour. That's not just an improvement. That is a complete transformation.
This table just sums it all up, doesn't it? It's a total before and after story.
You go from these month-long marathons to quick, daily cycles. You swap out spreadsheet errors for reliable, rule-based automation. You go from having blind spots in your cash position to having real-time visibility. But the most important one, your finance team goes from being buried in data cleanup to being freed up for real strategic analysis. That's the whole point.
So what's the big takeaway here? Where does this all lead? Well, it's about so much more than just fixing one broken, annoying process. It's really about reimagining what the finance team's role is in a modern company.
Because ultimately, this isn't about replacing people. It's about empowering them. It's about elevating your skilled, smart finance professionals from being data entry clerks to being true strategic advisors. It lets them focus on what they were actually hired to do: interpret the numbers, provide insights, and help guide the business forward.
And that leads us to the final and maybe the most exciting question of all. Once this foundational process is automated, once it's just running smoothly and reliably in the background, you just freed up an immense amount of brain power and time. So, what are you going to conquer next? What's the next big challenge your team will solve? That's the future that automation really unlocks.